Welcome everyone. Today we'll talk about baseline survey in result-based monitoring and evaluation. So what we'll be looking into it, we are studying the very basics of survey that needs to be taken around here for understanding monitoring and evaluation. Now what are the baseline survey and how does it helps us to augment the result thereby? So simple thing, we would like to go around with the importance of the result-based monitoring and evaluation. Why is it required? What are result based monitoring and evaluation? We will differentiate between the traditional versus the result based monitoring and evaluation system. Remember, the traditional and result based monitoring and evaluation system are two different issues that we are looking into out here, and that is what we will be talking in today's presentation, and then probably elaborate on the 10 steps to building a result based monitoring and evaluation system thereby. So yes, the importance, what exactly the definition there about, the differences between a traditional and the result based thing, and the properly the 10 steps to building a result based monitoring and evaluation system. Foremost thing is the importance of why there should be a baseline survey for result based monitoring and evaluation system. So there are growing pressures in developing countries to improve the performances of their public sectors per se. Now, when I say public sectors, these are units, these are industry, these are company which is run by the government. And in developing countries, probably government has the maximum amount of resources at their disposal, which they can cater to the maximum benefit to of their people per se. And that's the reason for having this particular issues of running public sectors unit, the wherein the government runs the company on their behalf, involves reforms by tracking results of the government and organizational action over a period of time. Remember, this is what we are looking into it. The federal government is running the show. The federal government has benevolence in their core of their heart when they are implementing a company-wide policies, and it impacts not only the industry, not only the end product, not only the customers, but also the overall society of the country thereby. So it is thereby an important management tool. So result-based monitoring and evaluation system, what exactly it is? It provides a crucial information of public sector performances. Absolutely, yes. It gives the crux of the economy. You can have a snapshot of the economy by understanding how the public sector industry is performing, provides a view over a period of time on the status of project, programs, and policies. Now, be it a public sector unit, be it a private sector unit, everything will be at a glimpse overall if the result based monitoring and evaluation systems are being in place. So it will gives you the perfect indicators as to how the company is making profit, what are the allocation of depreciation that has been taken into account, what are the capital utilizations that has been spent around here, what are the dividends that has been paid, and how money has been utilized altogether. Promotes a credibility, public confidence by reporting on the results of the program, helps formulate and justify budget requests thereby. This is very important. It helps you not only to understand the fabrics of the society, but also eliminates the fact that it is not only addressing the end customers who are basically enjoying the products or the services by catered by the public sector units, but also the employees who are working on behalf of the public sector units. Now it promotes a sense of credibility, promotes a confidence among the public by reporting results, and it is a general norms not only in developed country but also in developing countries, been quoted around it every 90 days, or should I say every quarter. The responsible companies, in fact Fortune 500 companies, are to produce their quarterly outputs in terms of balance sheet, in terms of profit and loss account, in terms of everything that relates to the financial performance of the company. That is what we are talking about in transparency is concerned. Helps formulate and justify budget requests, identify potential promising programs or practices thereby by studying the pilots as we are talking around here. Now, result-based monitoring and evaluation system focuses attention on achieving the outcomes important to its organization, important to its stakeholder. Remember, every stakeholder has their own vested unit in places altogether. They are looking to drive the maximum benefit altogether, provides timely, frequent information to staff, helps establish a key roles, key goals, key outcomes, what are pertinent, absolutely pertinent, permits managers to identify and probably take actions to correct weaknesses, thereby supports and develop the agenda that is shifted towards accountability and aid lending. Basically, the influx of the funds that goes around it, the where the funds have been circulated and how it has been done, it has been notified, it has been understood, and it is available for the consumption of the general public thereby. So yes, result based monitoring and evaluation makes you much more leaner, fitter, and transparent organization. Well, allow me to state the differences between result based monitoring and result based evaluation. What are the basic differences? In monitoring, it tracks the movement of the indicator towards the achievement of a specific, probably predetermined target that we are talking around it. But in evaluation, it takes absolutely a broader views. It considers a big amount of canvases that goes around it, considers the progress towards the stated goal, the logic of the initiative, and its consequences. So evaluation is always episodic, right, or periodic. So it gives you a better, greater, far transparent picture on a long run basis, whereas monitoring might be on a smaller time basis that we are going to go around it, whether we are on track to achieve the overall goal, overall objective that we are talking about it. So yes, both are needed. Yes, both are needed for to manage better policies, better programs, better projects, as the case might be. Allow me to give you a comparison. Now, what are traditional monitoring and evaluation system? Traditional evaluation system would have an inputs, have an activities, and for each input there has to be a desired outputs, consist of fun activities in between out there. So input, activities, and output is what we are looking into it. But in result-based monitoring and evaluation system, it combines everything that that is mentioned in the traditional system with an assessment of the outcome, with an assessment of the fact that how greater the impact it is all about it. Does it makes a resounding impact? Allows organizations to modify, to make adjustment to the theories of change and the implementation process thereby, and that is what is required. So monitoring, complementary roles of monitoring and evaluation is monitoring clarifies program objective, links activities and the resources to objective, translate objective into performance indicators, set targets, set baseline, routinely collect data on these indicators, compares actual result with the targets, report progress to the managers and alerts them to the problem thereby. Now this is what we are talking about as monitoring is concerned. Next is the evaluation, analyzes what intended results were or probably were not achieved, assesses specific causal contribution to the activity. Now there are specific reasons for everything. Now this reasons needs to be identified, these reasons needs to be highlighted altogether, examine implementation processes, explore unintended results, provides lessons, highlight significant accomplishment or program potential, and offers recommendation or improvement thereby. And how do we go around it? This is what we are looking into it. Allow me to bring into the next parameters that comes around in your monitoring and evaluation. It's a indicator, it's a performance indicator that we're talking about it. A variable that tracks the change, a variable that allows you to tell what is going wrong and how to rectify things, what are the intervention that is required. Now, was it planned or was it not planned? The cumulative evidence of clusters of indicators useful to see the initiative make a change. Now, barriers to monitoring and evaluation. Yes, to everything there are impediments. To everything there are two sides of a coin, as the saying goes around. Any of the following can be barriers to a monitoring and evaluation system. Let's say fiscal resources, lack of it. Probably enough resources are not there, enough finances are not there. Lack of political will. Probably there is a differences between what you say and what you do. That's a political will that we goes around it. Lack of champion for the system, as in the role model, as in the brand ambassador, as in something that can be mimicked around it. So if you don't have some success stories, probably people are not motivated enough, not motivated enough to go follow the system. Lack of an outcome linked strategy, or probably an experiences. Everybody has contemplation, everybody has some drawbacks in their mind before they actually commit. So how do we confront these barriers is what we are talking around it. Why an emphasis on outcome? Make explicit the intended objectives of the government action. Outcomes are what produces results, what produces benefit, what helps the stakeholders achieving their interest. Clearly setting outcome is key to designing and building a result-based monitoring and evaluation system. It is important for the budgets to the outcome, important for you to keep a tab on things, manage the outcomes, know where are you going before you actually get on moving around here. So indicators, I would love to utilize the word called CREAM, CREAM, wherein C stands for clarity, clear goals, or for relevancy, appropriateness is what we are talking about. E for economic is the financial resources that goes in and out. A for adequate, is it sufficient enough for all the stakeholders meeting their own interests? And M for monitorable is where we are trying to keep a tab on things. So yes, CREAM, 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 C for clear, R for relevant, E for economic, A for adequate, and M for monitoring is what we are talking about it. I am just giving a glimpse. What you're seeing on your screen is the matrix of building and using indicators. Now, if you look into it, what are we looking out here? We have an indicators that we decide upon it, and depends upon the project, the indicators would be changing around. And the data sources, are we capturing it in the data sources, the collection method, thereby who is responsible, the frequency of the data that goes around it, the cost that is involved in collecting the data, is there any difficulties, and who will study. The person who collects data should not be studying and analyzing the report. Absolutely not. And the person who will analyze will not utilize the data for making decision. These are three things that needs to be in silos, working in silos altogether. They should not overlap each other's per se. Now, developing indicators, develop your own indicators to meet your needs. Developing good indicators usually takes more than one try. State all indicator neutrality, not increasing, probably not even decreasing. Do not tamper with it. Now, remember these things for in developing an indicator. Your own indicator is the best indicator. If I suggest something, it will be to my requirement. So you please understand what is that you are trying to address. Develop an indicator for yourself. A good indicator will usually take more than one try, two try, three try probably. But at the end of three, four, or five try, you should be able to come up with a definitely a decent indicator. Remember, all indicators should be neutral. It should not be biased to either the side. And the best case scenario for an indicator is to pilot, or apply for a small population, small sample, until and unless you see that there is a neutrality that gets developed. Now, baseline data and sources. Baseline data is measurement to find out where are we today. Primary sources are gathered specifically for the project, absolutely for the project. Secondary are collected for the data purposes, or anything that is collected for other purposes has an implication in your projects. It has an implication. Let's say it's in a rainy season, probably people would take their umbrellas out, right? But on a sunny day, it might not be the cases. So there are the primary sources and the secondary sources. So how does the umbrella sale goes around it? Probably during the rainy season, definitely yes, there is a hike in the price of the umbrella, and also hike in the sales of the umbrella. So secondary sources can be collected for the other purposes, can save money, but be careful to ensure that this is truly the information you require. Possible sources, what are they? First and foremost thing is the written record that we goes around it. Individuals involved with the intervention, the general public, the trained observer, the mechanical measurements, and the geographical information system, or the GIS, as we say so. Geographical information system, there is mandatory requirement that goes around it. Every places has their own ethos, own cultures, own vibrancy altogether. That needs to be understated. That needs not to be overstated either. It has to be neutral when you talk about it. Possible sources should give you right at the source point where you collect the data per se. Now, how do you go for the information, informal or less structured method? And as I say so, let me change the color out here for my cursors to go around it. As you say so, you see what is happening is from a less structured method, or should I say informal structured method, we are so slowly and steadily trying to put it down to a structured fashion altogether. A formal methods that needs to go around it. Let's say informal structures are what we are talking about. It's a conversation, maybe casual, absolutely, with a concerned individual, or a community interviews, or the field visit. Now, what we are doing about these things, we are keeping a note around it. And once we are noting, we are probably integrating or probably interpreting things to our requirement. Absolutely, yes. Review of the official records of the MIS and the admin data that goes around here. Key informant interviews, as the case might be. What do we goes around here? How do we goes around it? The key informant interviews, the participations, observation. Now, as we look into it, this is the informal structures, and we are slowly and steadily moving towards the formal structure. The key informant reviews, the focus group interviews, the direct observation, the surveys that we talk around here, as in when on basis that we goes around it. So slowly and steadily it comes to the one-time survey. If you look out here, probably a panel survey, probably a group of people going around making similar surveys at different places altogether, different period of time. And glorifying example, a census or the field experiment. Now these are the methods of collecting data, right from the informal method to the formal method, right from unstructured method to a formal, rightly screen structured. And I have just told you how to go around it. So continuing the examples, if we want to go around here, how do we tell it to you? I'm just giving you an example as to what happened. Let's say our outcome is improved coverage of our preschool programs, and how do we go around here? So indicate as a percentage of eligible children enrolled in the preschools, percentage of eligible rural children enrolled in the preschool, which was 75% in 1999, 40% in 2000. And these are proxy cases, proxy example, just for your consumption, just for your understanding that I've quoted out here. Similarly, for improved primary school learning, how do we go around it? The percentage of indicators, a percentage of grade 6 students scoring 70% or more, probably, or percentage of grade 6 students scoring a higher on a standardized maths, on a difficult paper, probably of maths, probably of science, in comparison to the baseline data. So what are the baseline? Baseline by 2002, 47% of the students actually score 70% or better in maths, 50% or better in science. Similarly, in 2002, mean score for grade 6 student was 68% in maths and 53% in science. Now, this is just for you to understand as to how to construct an indicator, how to collect the data, and probably very well to understand how to present the data, analyze the data thereby. So identifying the expected result. Now, what are we looking out here? We are talking about the baseline indicators in addition to the desired level of improvement, which will give me my target performances. That is what is important. The baseline indicators, the desired level that we are requiring to improve, which we assume which consume a lot of manpower, lot of money, lot of effort. So that is the expected inputs, activities, and output, which will result in a target performances, desired level of performance to be reached within the specific period of time. It takes time to observe the effect of the improvement. Therefore, be realistic. Do not be optimistic or pessimistic. Be realistic. Take it with a pinch of salt, whatever is happening. Avoid promising too much and thus the programming yourself to fail. Key types of monitoring, if we go around it, the implementation is always of the three activities of input, activities, and output, where monitoring or the results monitoring is all about outcomes and the result that goes around it. The five-step process, the initial T step is of the implementation monitoring, as the case might be. So outcomes, how do we go around it? Target one, target two, target three. The means and strategy for multi-year programs, annual work plans, means and strategies for multi-year annual plans, means and strategies for multi-year annual plan of work altogether, and how do we go across it? Monitoring result, monitoring implementation thereby, and how, why not to happen it out. To be successful monitoring system, what do we need to do about it? We looked about ownership, management, maintenance, and credibility. These are the things that we need to work upon it as on when on basis thereby every now and then. So for to be successful, every monitoring system has to have a sense of ownership, has to have a sense of management, maintenance, and credibility thereby. So evaluation, how do we go for a mean of evaluation, the information on together, all together? Let's say the learning part, whether there's a better way of doing things, what are we looking into it? Now these are my learning parts. Remember, the better ways of doing things might be alternatives, might be best practices, might be benchmarking yourself, lesson learned that goes around it. Now how do we come to this learning is through the operation part of it. Operation part of it, are we doing things right? This is the question that needs to be answered. Are we doing things right? That means, are we good at effectiveness, efficiency? Is my customers happy? What is the satisfaction rate that goes around it? So this is all related to the operation part of it. But so we have operation, we have learning. To understand this operation, we need to start executing an action, and that is what strategy is all about it. So what are we doing? The right things, the rationale, the justification, the clear theories of changes, as the case might be, and that is exactly what we are talking around here. So yes, from strategies to operation, from operations to learning is what we are talking around. Completely straightforward, and that is what we should be looking forward to it. Evaluation, when to use it, anytime, absolutely anytime, every time, all the time, whenever required. The performances are there, the outliers are there. It requires further investigation. When resources or budget allocations are being made across projects, across programs, across policies, when decision has been made whether or not to expand a pilot, as the case might be, what are we looking into it? When there's a long period with absolutely negligible improvement, or should I say no improvement in the first place, the reasons thereof are not very clear or very ambiguous, as the case might be. When similar program, when similar policies are reporting different, in fact divergent, absolutely 180-degree divergent outcomes that goes around it, you understand that there is something wrong with the project, you are doing something wrong, or the evaluation method, the anticipation is completely different altogether, the analysis is completely wrong. So this is when to use it. Evaluation anytime and every time. But when you have divergent result, when you have resources budget been allocated and similar outcomes outputs are not coming across to it, when you see there's a pilot project that has been done but probably you are not sure about the outcomes is always mixed, outcome is always ambiguous, and when you see there are no improvement, there no marked improvement over a longish period of time, as the case might be. So reporting the findings, providing information on the status of the project, status of the program, status of the policies, as the case might be, is what we are looking forward to. Yields clues to the problem, creates opportunities to consider changes, provide important information over a longer period of time on trends, on direction, helps confirm or challenges the theories of changes, as the case might be, is what we are looking at it. When analyzing and presenting data, compare indicator data with the baseline targets, as the case might be, and provide the information in an easy to understand visual display. Compare current information with past data. Look for patterns, look for trends, look to understand what is going right, look to find a method in the madness, look to set certain things. Be careful about your drawing, sweeping conclusion based on small amount of discrepancies, small amount of information, or probably even in your hunches. Do not make some conclusion. The more the data points you have, the more certain your trends are going to be real, absolutely real, and the more certain that you'll be able to pinpoint the issues very correctly. So protect the messenger. People who deliver bad news should not be punished. Absolutely, yes. This is something which we always cater to. Uncomfortable findings can indicate new trends or notify the managers of the problem early on, allowing them time needed to solve these problems then and there. That is what we are asking for it, as the case might be. Allow me to come with the 10 uses of the result finding. First and foremost is respond to the elected officials, the people in power, the people who are responsible for it. The public demands for accountability, helps formulate and justify budget requests, helps in making operational resources allocation decisions, triggers in-depth examination of what performance problems exist, on what correction are needed, helps motivate personnel to continue making program improvement. Absolutely, small incremental increment is what we are all striving to do for it. So here the top 5 is respond to the elected officials, help formulate the just and justify budget request, helps in making operational resources allocation decision, triggers in-depth examination of what performance problem is are all about it, helps motivate the personnel to continue making program improvement. The next 5s are monitoring the projects, monitoring the program performances vis-a-vis the target outcomes, provides data for special in-depth program evaluation, help track services delivery against precise outcomes, support strategic other long-term planning efforts, communicate with the public to build trust among the people is what we are looking to go around it, and that is what needs to be done. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video till the very end.